everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So yeah, I got a lot done since last time. Moved the frame over again. Coming on to about halfway done this big pink flower, because the center part of it is coming up pretty soon. So yeah, like I said before, it was a lot of big blocks of color in this area. So yeah, that zips by pretty quickly. So I have a pink petal here, and then there's kind of a leaf area here, and then more pink. So yeah, from now I'm working sort of around the leaf, and then I will probably work the leaf itself for a bit. But yeah, that of course all depends on how far I get, but yeah, it's still bigger blocks in this area, so it will probably go by pretty quickly. I love those big blocks. Yeah, so we are dealing with lousy air quality today. We've got a lot of wildfire smoke here. I won't complain too much because, yeah, we're not in any danger from the fire here. Like 17,000 people in Manitoba had to be evacuated. So yeah, they're definitely having it much worse. Yeah. Yeah, kind of out here where it's really flat, the smoke really spreads. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we had sort of one really hot day, and then the temperature has gone back down, which I don't mind. It's gone back down to kind of exactly where I like it. Yeah, my throat is a little sore from that smoke in the air, so I may not talk as much because of that. Yeah, and after I wrap this up, I have to go and bake some stuff because my son's school is having a potluck, so it's a breakfast potluck, so it's tomorrow. And yeah, I'm making my always popular cheese biscuits. Yeah. Once people have had them once, they always ask me to bring them. And I said they're really simple. Like, it's just a basic baking powder biscuit with some grated cheese thrown in. Yeah, so sort of after I cut the shortening into the dry ingredients, but before I put in the milk, I just, I grate about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of cheddar, throw that in there, kind of just quickly mix it in with the fork, and then continue as usual adding the milk and forming the dough, and yeah, super yummy. Yeah, I said I'm someone who can't drink milk, but if it's cooked I can eat it, and I'm okay with cheese, which I'm very thankful for because, yeah, I would hate if I couldn't eat cheese. Yes, I can eat cheese, butter, yogurt. It's just milk itself. There is this special milk we have. It's called A2, and it has a different protein than regular cow's milk, so it's easier to digest, and I find I can have some of that if I don't overdo it. Yeah, because if I drink regular cow's milk, I don't have any of the symptoms of lactose intolerance because, like I said, cheese is fine and all that. I get really exhausted the next day. Like, I feel like somebody sedated me and I can barely stay awake. So, yeah. I said it kind of sucks, though, because sometimes I haven't realized that that's what I'm eating, because I had something and I thought it was made with yogurt sauce, which I would have been okay with. Turns out it was cream-based, and I found out the next day when I basically couldn't wake up. Yeah. I remember I stumbled around, got kiddo out of bed and off to school. He drives himself now, so I wouldn't have driven in that condition. But yeah, and then as soon as he was gone for the day, I went back to bed for like 3 hours. Oh, it was terrible. Even then, when I woke up, I still felt so out of it, so groggy, but I hate when that happens. It formed a knot. Yeah, but it's a really tiny one, so I can get away with stitching a little bit with it. At least on 14 count. I find on 18 count, it's a little less forgiving. Yeah. Because it's 2 strands that I use on that as well. It's a little thicker, so I have less wiggle room. Yeah, so we had to sign up. So yeah, it's with the grads and with all the parents of the grads. Yeah, hard to believe it's going to be his grad ceremonies in like 3 weeks. Yeah, this year has just flown on by. Yeah, it's like I said, I can't believe I have a kid old enough to graduate, because I could swear my own graduation was not that long ago. But yeah, it actually was. It was in 1999, so yeah. Past the 25-year mark. Oh dear. Yeah, where does the time go? Yeah, and then once he's done, we may go visit family. We're gonna see if, yeah, they're available. Maybe head to BC to visit, but yeah, they may come here. It hasn't been decided yet. We will see. Yeah, my sister-in-law has been busy helping to clear the house, because yeah, my mother-in-law was a bit of a hoarder, and that house is packed. Like, it wasn't like as bad as, you know, say the show Hoarders, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's wildly. She said they must have taken, she said, I think it was like 30 loads to Goodwill already, and they're still not even halfway through. Like, yeah, just wild. So yeah, she has a group chat for us, and she'll put pictures up, and then people will say if something is theirs or if they want it before it goes to the charity shop. Perfect. That actually worked out, that the knot went to the back. Excellent. I swear, every time I do this, even though you think it'd be 50-50, it never works out that way. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah, she still, like, had all the kids' childhood toys from, you know, way back in, like, the youngest one is, like, 30-something, right? Oh, she never threw a thing away. And it wasn't like it was in the same house. They moved. Yeah, a fair amount. And all that stuff moved with them. I said, oh, I was surprised, because I said, we moved a lot when I was a kid, but that was always my way of decluttering, right? Yeah, I found when you were moving, you decided which stuff was important, and a lot of it was like, you know what? Yeah, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I don't need it. Yeah. And that's why I said back in, I think it was 2017, I did a big house clean out, because kiddo was 10 at that point, and we still had all his baby toys. And yeah, like I said, I was used to moving every couple of years, so naturally it would clear out a lot of stuff, but we had been living in the house for 10 years, so yeah, it had built up a bit. Yeah, and he helped, and I was pleasantly surprised that once he understood I wasn't going to get rid of any of his favorite things, you know, stuff he used regularly, then he was willing to let go of a lot of stuff that was like, yeah, these are baby toys, and you don't need them anymore. You know, at the time he was 10, so... Like, you really didn't need your Duplo Lego, right? Yeah, you play with real Lego now. Oh man, especially considering he got attacked by a piece of Duplo Lego when he was little. He was climbing up in his room. We had sort of like a bunk bed set, and we didn't really have it set as actual bunk beds because we didn't need the second one, so it was more like one bed with almost like a canopy on top. Anyway, he tried to climb up there. He fell down. He smacked his face onto a piece of the baby Lego right between the eyes and split it. Yeah. And I said, I guess it's kind of fortunate that he ended up needing glasses when he's older because the bridge of the glasses covers it up. But honestly, the scar is so minimal, like you wouldn't see it unless you know it's there and to look really closely. Yeah, the ER doctor did an amazing job. He didn't use stitches, he used super glue, which that's what super glue apparently was originally created for. But yeah, he sealed it up so nice and neat that, yeah, like I said, unless you know it's there, you won't even see it. So, yeah, I remember my uncle said, oh man, he looks like, you know, their son, my cousin, at the same age because he was near the closet where his mom stored the iron, and she didn't notice that the cord had come down where he could grab it, and he pulled it and it point first right into, yeah, thankfully not his eye, but yeah, right between the eyes. Yeah. And my dad joked, oh, you know, must be all his mother's fault. I said, yeah, thanks a lot, Dad. I seem to recall I needed to get 7 stitches in my chin as a kid. Yeah. My mom was not happy with him because they put us in the shopping cart, and no, actually I was younger than 7. Yeah, I had 7 stitches, but I think I was like 4, something like that. And yeah, the cart was kind of wonky, and my dad said it'll be fine, and then both me and my sister kind of leaned out the same side because we were little, and the whole thing flipped over, and yeah, my chin hit the ground and yeah, split. And it's actually one of my first memories is I remember the big OR light as the ER doctor was was stitching my chin up. I said I was lucky at least it was on the underside, so yeah, you wouldn't really see the scar. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, this pink kind of surrounding this. So I'm going to work sort of some of this pink until it gets to about where the bottom of that leaf area is, or the space between the petals, and then I'll work that darker area and then probably continue down. At least that's my current plan. I may change my mind when I get there, as often happens. And trying to show up again. So yeah, I should have this flower done this month, I would say, no problem. And probably be partway into the peacock's wing again. Because yeah, his wing feathers are kind of overlapping his tail feathers. So I don't think I'll get to the tail feathers this month. I think they're a little too far away. Yeah. We will see. But yeah, like I said, I may be able to get to 75%. We will see. I'm closing in on 73 now. So yeah, that would be about, like I said, 9,000 stitches for the month, which is a little more than I usually manage. So yeah, maybe, maybe not. Place your wagers now. It's not too windy today. It was really windy the other day. Yeah, and then when it blew open the garage door. Yeah, unfortunately the latch for that door is not very good, and so yeah, it doesn't take much effort for it to pop open, even when you've properly closed the door. Yeah, you need to have the deadbolt in place to ensure it won't come open. Yeah, my husband always has to double check before we go to sleep that he locked the garage if he was in there during the day, because yeah, otherwise you end up with it setting the alarm off, because yeah, we have alarms on the house and then one on the garage just in case, because my husband has a fair amount of equipment in there, so yeah. And yeah, like a week ago had it, of course it was while he was away. Yeah, door blew open at 4:45 because of a windstorm. Almost set the alarm off, because you get 30 seconds before it contacts the alarm company. Yeah, and so I heard it beeping and ran out, and I managed to stop it when there was like 11 seconds left on the thing. And it's funny because whenever you disarm the panel, it takes a picture, and because it was 4:45 and the light from the panel kind of blinded me, because you know I'd been sleeping, and so there's pictures of me as my face all scrunched up, squinting at it, because of course I don't have my glasses on either. I said, wow, that was a super attractive picture. Yeah, it's funny, for a long time after we got the security system installed, our son would he liked to hold up one of his stuffed animals to the camera while we were disarming it in the morning, yeah, to make it look like, yeah, his Yoshi or whatever had, as if it had been the one disarming the panel. Yeah. Yeah, my funny little guy. Although I say that, but he's bigger than me now. Yeah. Yeah, I nicknamed him Bug when he was really little, because he was so little, and it's like, yeah, it's stuck, even though he's definitely bigger than a bug now. Yeah. Unfortunately, he hasn't asked me to stop calling him that. Yeah, I said if he really wants me to not use it anymore, I won't, but he's okay with it, so yeah. Yeah, because it was funny. It was a story I read on Reddit where a guy said his girlfriend had a problem with what he called his daughter, because he said his daughter was born premature, and while she was in the NICU, he nicknamed her Goose from Top Gun, and it kind of stuck, right? And they still call her that even though she's a teenager now. And yeah, apparently his girlfriend didn't like it and wanted him to stop calling her that. And he's kind of like, yeah, my daughter's the only one who gets to tell me that, right? Like, I said, yeah, exactly the same thing. My son can tell me to stop calling him Bug. Nobody else gets to. It's actually funny because I started doing it when he was like not even a year old, and he actually responded to his nickname before his actual given name. Yeah, it's quite funny. Like, it wasn't intentional. It just, yeah, it just kind of happened. Just like one day said, oh, my little bug, and then it stuck. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's funny because, like, I heard ones where people said they wanted to, like, pick their nicknames, but they're like, no, nicknames just happen. Somebody gives it to you one day. Yeah. Somebody calls it you that, and it sticks. Yeah, even they'll say, when you're a grandparent, you get to pick what to be called, but it says, it depends on the grandchild, though. I remember that was a plot line in Downton Abbey when, yeah, the Earl of Grantham's granddaughter calls him Donk. And he says, can't I be something more dignified, like Grandpapa? Says, well, nope, apparently Donk it is. Yeah, I loved that show. Yeah, the actor who played Lord Grantham said he was so Star Trek struck because, like, he says, there he is sitting with Dame Maggie Smith and Shirley MacLaine, who were talking about acting with Laurence Olivier, and he's just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy, Yeah, sitting with these legends who probably have been acting longer than he'd been alive. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind visiting Highclere Castle if we ever did go to England. It's quite the tourist attraction now. Yeah, apparently I watched a special on it, and they said that, yeah, it was really hard to maintain because it costs a lot of money, even though most of it is not used anymore, right? The rooms are shut off. But then, yeah, it became the location for Downton Abbey, so now, yeah, they have a thriving tourism spot, even though the show has ended, yeah. But yeah, they said they had to actually build a downstairs kitchen set because, of course, it had been modernized over the years, and they needed one that was, yeah, from the era that they were filming, because the show starts with the sinking of the Titanic. Yeah. And that it became a hospital during World War I, which they wrote into the show as that was historically accurate. Yeah, so I'm moving into this sort of triangle because, yeah, there's a petal here and a petal here. So I'm working in this sort of shadowy area that I think may have a leaf too. Can't always tell until it's stitched and you've stepped back to look at the whole thing. Yeah, sometimes these details is, when you're working up close, it's harder to tell what they are sometimes. Okay, so just going to take a look as I have two threads. Okay, so that's a long one. All right. I'm thinking, yeah, that's actually a long one too, but I don't need both. Yeah, because this line of stitches is obviously closer to that other side. Nope. So I will just do this one stitch and then tie it off. Yeah, so you can see this area has more colors in a smaller space for a bit. Oh dearie. Yeah, well, we'll thin this out pretty quick. turn my phone into do not disturb. There. Yeah, I don't film on my current phone because for some reason the camera didn't want to behave as well. Yeah, even though like it's a later edition phone, you'd think it would be better, but I don't know. I tried some things and I decided my old camera phone worked just fine, so I decided I wasn't going to continue to muck around with it. Went back to the old way. It's kind of nice too because then I'm not filling up my current phone because yeah, these videos take up quite a lot of space. Okay, that piece is really short, but I think I might be able to salvage a stitch or two out of it, so I'm going to save it anyway. Ouch, that was my elbow. Snap, crackle, pop. There. Bit of fuzz was stuck to my thumbnail. Didn't want to let go. Ooh. Oh, pardon me. Closing in on 100 done now. Goodness, that bit of trimmed thread is being a pest. It keeps showing up again. saying making those biscuits. I'll be making a double batch, but for some reason I find I have to make it as 2 separate batches. If I double it, they burn. Yeah, and it's been like that with every single stove I've used. Yeah, I don't know why. So yeah, I have to mix them up separately and then cook them separately. Bother leaving that one threaded because it's very short. Yeah. I said not too windy, but of course now the wind is picking up, blowing that vent cover around. So yeah, at 0.95%, be about another 150 stitches to roll it over to an even 73. So I probably won't make that during this session, but maybe later today. Yeah, and to get to 75% will be just over 230,000. So yeah, we will see. I'll definitely get it next month. I'll be stitching that bit for a while, so just going to park it. Yeah, so now I've got this kind of wedge shape here. That's what I'm going to be filling in for the moment. Actually, I'm going to do that one first. I think that had a needle on it, but just pulled it off. Trying to come up beside those strands rather than splitting in the middle of them. Yeah. There we go. It's really uneven. gonna double check the length of this other thread. Okay, so it's long enough to handle all the stitches sort of coming down that side. So I will just tie this one off. If it was short, then I would have parked it over here and sort of carried it back up, but I don't need to do that since I have another thread there that will be sufficient for those stitches. So so last time I ended when my total count was all twos. 222,222. Yeah, so that's the last time I'll be able to do that because I have, yeah, 300,000 and, yeah, under 7 after that. So won't be able to do that again. I was able to catch it when it was all ones, or I could have. Yeah, catch it when it's all twos, but it doesn't go that high. Okay. Oh, I did have this one out. I don't know why I thought I didn't. For some reason. Probably because I'm guessing. No, I thought maybe there's not much of it. I was planning to pack it away, but no, it's still scattered about a fair bit, so I'll just keep it out. I'm not running out of space in my working tray yet, so okay, actually, take a look. Might do some of these. Yeah, that's not very long, so I'm going to add another one on the other side. Yes, I'm pretty sure my initial suspicions were correct, and this is the bottom part of this leaf here. The top part was in the last pass. Yeah, the flower still extends a fair bit past this point. I'm not going to do that stitch right at the bottom because I am going to park it right over here. Oh yeah, so speaking about parking, in the last update I didn't realize that Pattern Keeper has now made it possible for you to park a whole bunch of stitches at once. So it used to be you could only park a single stitch at a time by either using the double taps or by selecting the stitch, hitting more, and then picking the parked one. But you can only do that for one stitch at a time. If you had multiple selected at one time, it didn't have that more, and now it does. So it has, you know, you could park in multiples at once if you wished for whatever reason. So, and just unhighlight those. But yeah, so it's a nice little feature, because I know some people, they said they use the parking feature to mark, say, if they've done half of the stitch and not the whole stitch, or for whatever reason. Yeah, they didn't want to have to go through every single stitch and do that, because that could be quite tedious. So now it's, yeah, you have the option to park multiple stitches at once in the same color. So yeah, I really love how the designer of Pattern Keeper has been so receptive to people's suggestions and requests for new features, especially considering that it's not a subscription service, it's a one-time purchase. But yeah, she's always working to improve it. And like I said, even if it was a yearly subscription or whatever, I would pay it, because yeah, it is a great app. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, so it's still considered beta mode, even though I've been using this since 2019. So yeah. Yes, and for those of you on the site where it says that an Apple version is coming soon, don't believe that. They've been saying that forever, and yeah, they've basically said it's unlikely, because Apple has a lot of very strict requirements for their apps, and yeah, because this is Android based, to get it to work on Apple devices would mean, you know, basically all new coding, at least from what I've heard. Don't hold me to that, because like I said, I am not a techie person. Yeah, I kind of joked about that. I said, electronics will act up for me and behave for my husband. I said, maybe they're afraid of him because he's an engineer and they know he could take them apart. I don't know. But yeah, he'll be saying, just push this button. And I am pushing that button and it doesn't work. And then he takes the remote and he pushes that button and it works. And I'm like, well, what the heck? You know? I was doing the same thing. It just didn't like me. Or one time we had one with finicky buttons, and my husband said, well, I know how to push the buttons. I'm like, there's a technique to pushing the button. I figured it was push it, you know? Oh, dear. Like, I kind of thought it's supposed to be pretty straightforward. You either push the button or you don't. Oh, dear. Yeah, I don't think this thread will be quite enough to do all of these stitches here in this area. We'll see. It'll be close. But yeah, if I have to add another thread, that's fine. It happens. It's gotta run out sometime. I think that is it. That last stitch, I'll just have to use a leftover piece, because this is not going to get any more out of it. It's too short to park it. Be a big pain. I've tried to do that before, and yeah, it was so much hassle, it was not worth it. Oh, there's like a huge satin stitch on the back there. Yeah, it gets pale again here, so I'm drawing the threads away from it rather than pin stitching there. Just in case I don't pin stitch dark colors where it will be covered by light colors, just in case. Yeah, because then I end up with flower petals on the other side, and they're quite pale. Yeah, there's a lot of shading here in this leaf. And this isn't even a max color pattern. Yeah, I don't have any of those. I'm working one that is 150 colors, and I've sworn never again. So yeah, I definitely don't want to work the 240 colors one. Yeah, I found that the standard about 90 colors is good enough for me. I don't want to do all the extra work because yeah, the max color ends up with considerably more confetti. More subtle shading, but more work goes into it because of the, yeah, greatly increased number of color changes. Yeah, there was one, somebody said they had the max pattern, color pattern, and like one of those 240 colors had a single stitch in the, in the entire pattern. Oops. Yeah, I had that once with a pattern I bought. Physical paper pattern. I don't think it told you how many stitches of each color there were. So yeah, I just went out and bought all the colors and then discovered later that one of the colors I had bought had a grand total of 6 stitches in the entire thing. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah, this was way back when I was a teenager and I was using, you know, babysitting and paper route money, so I definitely did not have much to spare. Yeah. Yeah, especially since my mom would not let us even spend all of our money. We were required to save at least half of it, which of course at the time I hated, but it was kind of nice then when I graduated high school and I had, you know, not a lot, but something of a nest egg. Yeah. More than I would have had, so yeah. I hated it at the time, but my mom did instill a good saving habit in me. So yeah, so our babysitting money, we didn't have to because people paid us in cash. So that we were allowed to just spend. But yeah, the paper route money was direct deposited in a bank account, and that meant we were only allowed to take so much of it out. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it was deposited in my mom's account and then she would split it and, yeah, put it in our accounts. We didn't have separate savings account then. We just had, each had one bank account, so yeah. Yeah, I got Kiddo set up with his a couple of years ago. Because at first I wasn't gonna, because I kind of thought, well, any interest you make would be negated by the service fees, right? But then I looked it up, and our current bank has, yeah, the student account, and until you're 23, you don't have to pay any bank fees. So yeah, figured might as well get him started then. And they said that if after the cutoff date you are still doing post-secondary education, yeah, you go into the bank and show them proof that you are an enrolled student, they will extend it until you have completed your studies. So yeah, that's really nice. But yeah, well, of course, they want to get you young, right? Because yeah, people generally don't like to change banks as it's a huge hassle. So yeah, the idea is sign them up as a kid and you'll have a customer for life is their hope, right? Yeah. And so yeah, it's kind of nice if I have to transfer some money for my kid. It doesn't cost either of us any fees because it's in the same bank. So because yeah, often his allowance, we just keep a tally of it, and then when it adds up to a certain amount, I will just transfer it to him into his bank account so it's there. Yeah. But yeah, he had to get one because I think last summer, or perhaps the summer before, he got hired on temporarily as my husband's assistant at work. So yeah, they I think they did a direct deposit, not a check. So yeah, because they had a building that one of their branches was in, was discovered to have toxic mold in it after a fire. And yeah, it had to be evacuated because it was dangerous. And they had to go get their equipment, but that meant that they had to wear full protective gear. So they had gas masks, hard hats, you know, steel toe boots, and yeah. And he said it sucked because their stuff was on the 17th floor and the elevator no longer worked. So yeah, as you can imagine, bringing equipment down on a dolly for 17 floors is not really something you want to do on your own, right? Yeah, so. And Kiddo was happy because he earned money so he could buy himself his computer setup. So he was very happy with that. It all worked out. But yeah, they said the place had toxic mold and asbestos was discovered. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was like a combination, like it had some commercial space and some residential space. And so they said, yeah, it was wild because people were given basically like an hour to grab their most important stuff and evacuate. And so they said like apartments were still like people had clothes on the floor and dishes on the counter and, you know, pictures on the walls and stuff. Yeah. And like people got compensated by insurance for having to abandon. But yeah, it was like basically grab, you know, your computers, your personal papers, you know, the most important stuff that you would grab if it was a fire, and then time to get out of there. Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of sitting there because it would cost so much to make it safe again that it's probably cheaper to just tear the whole thing down. So it's just been kind of sitting there vacant now for a few years because kind of nobody knows what to do with it. Here, so yeah, that pretty much finishes up that leaf. So yeah, we had all those colors parked there, and now we've pretty much used them up. So I think once I finish this strand is where I'm going to take a break. Let's see. how my stitch count is. Maybe I'll do a few more. I know people say they like to see me hit 200 in a session, which is, yeah, pretty satisfying. Okay, I will need 3 more to do that, so why don't I just do that, right? Ooh. Since I'm that close. Okay. Yeah, this color is getting closer to being done. 67 stitches left. That puts me at exactly 200. Woohoo! So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.